The crystal chandelier above the dining table cast warm light across the faces I'd loved my entire life. Grandma Eleanor sat at the head of the table, her silver hair perfectly styled, her eyes crinkling with that familiar warmth as she looked at me. The smell of roasted turkey and sage stuffing filled the air. Everything felt normal until she spoke. "So, Natalie, I've been meaning to ask." She set down her wine glass. "How's the $250,000 trust fund treating you, dear? Have you been investing it wisely?" I froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. What trust fund? The words hung in the air like smoke. My sister Jessica's wine glass slipped from her hand, red liquid spreading across the white tablecloth like blood. Mom's face drained of color. Dad suddenly became very interested in his dinner roll. Grandma's smile vanished. Her eyes went cold in a way I'd never seen. She turned slowly toward my parents, her voice dropping to a temperature that could freeze fire. "Explain. Now. Eleanor, we can discuss this later," Mom started. "No." Grandma's hand hit the table. The silverware jumped. "We discuss this now. I established 2 trust funds 25 years ago, one for each granddaughter. $250,000 each, to be released when they turn 25. Natalie turned 25 3 months ago. My hands started shaking. 25. I turned 25 in September, working double shifts at the hospital, eating ramen because my student loans took 60% of my paycheck. Jessica had bought a condo that same month. Cash purchase. Where is Natalie's money? Grandma's voice could have cut glass. Dad cleared his throat. Jessica needed it more. She had the business opportunity. I don't recall asking about Jessica's needs. Grandma stood up. At 78, she suddenly looked like a queen passing judgment. I asked where Natalie's $250,000 went. Jessica finally found her voice. "Grandma, you don't understand. My marketing agency needed startup capital. So you stole from your sister." The word stole echoed in the silence. Mom reached for Grandma's arm. "Mother, you're being dramatic. It's still in the family. It was designated for Natalie." Grandma pulled away. "Tell me, did Natalie sign anything? Agree to this arrangement?" 3 pairs of eyes avoided mine. "I see." Grandma picked up her purse. "Natalie, get your coat. You're coming home with me. The rest of you can finish your dinner." I suddenly lost my appetite. I stood on shaking legs. Jessica grabbed my wrist. "Nat, come on. Don't make this a thing." I looked at her hand on my wrist. At the Cartier bracelet she'd bought herself for Christmas. At the designer dress she'd worn to show off her success. I pulled away without saying a word. In Grandma's car, the silence stretched for 3 miles before she spoke. "How long have they done this to you?" "Done what?" But I knew. "Made you invisible." The streetlights blurred through my tears. "Always." She reached over and squeezed my hand. Her palm felt warm. "Not anymore." That night, in her guest room that smelled like lavender and old books, I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed constantly. 50 messages, 70, 100. "Mom, you embarrassed us in front of Grandma. This is family business." "Jessica, you're really going to let her turn you against us?" "I would have helped you if you'd asked." "Dad, your grandmother doesn't understand modern family dynamics. Call us." I turned off my phone. Grandma knocked softly at 2 a.m. "Can't sleep either?" We sat in her kitchen drinking chamomile tea. She slid a folder across the table. "This is everything." Bank statements. The original trust documents, correspondence with my lawyer. Your parents had power of attorney over the trust until you turned 25. They transferred your entire fund to Jessica's business account 3 years ago. 3 years ago. When I was 22, working 2 jobs to finish nursing school. When I'd asked Mom for help with my textbooks and she'd said, "Jessica needs our support right now, maybe next semester." What do I do? My voice cracked. "That depends." Grandma's eyes were sharp despite the late hour. "Do you want justice? Or do you want peace?" "I want the truth. Then we start Monday morning." My lawyer is very good. The pattern had always been there. I just hadn't wanted to see it. When I was 7, Jessica got a new bike for Christmas. Pink with streamers and a bell. I got a used one from a garage sale, repainted. When I cried, Dad said, "Be grateful for what you have." When I was 13, Jessica went to Paris for her 8th grade graduation. I got a card that said congratulations and $20. Mom explained, "Jessica worked hard for this. Maybe if you gotten better grades." I'd gotten straight A's. Jessica had 3 C's. When I was 16, Jessica got a car. Actual car, new, with a bow. I got driving lessons and access to Mom's old sedan when it's available. It never was. When I was 18, Jessica's college tuition was paid in full. Private university, sorority, the works. I got community college and weekend shifts at Target to cover what loans wouldn't. Dad said, "Jessica has real ambition. You're doing the practical thing." Jessica partied through 4 majors and graduated with a communications degree and no job prospects. I finished my nursing degree with honors while working 40 hours a week. When Jessica's first business failed, Mom and Dad refinanced their house to fund her second attempt. When I asked for help with a $800 car repair, Dad said, "You're a nurse now. Figure it out." I'd been figuring it out my entire life. Grandma's lawyer, Margaret, had silver hair and shark eyes. She laid out the case on her mahogany desk. "This is embezzlement. Straightforward. Your grandmother established separate trusts with explicit instructions. Your parents violated fiduciary duty. What happens now?" "We file a lawsuit. We demand full restitution with interest. $. My stomach twisted. "Charges? Like criminal charges?" "Your parents forged your signature on transfer documents." "That's fraud." I looked at Grandma. She nodded. "Your choice, sweetheart." I thought about 25 years of being second. Of watching Jessica get everything while I got leftovers and lectures about gratitude. Of the trust fund that could have cleared my student loans, given me a down payment on a house, let me breathe for the first time in my adult life. Do it. The lawsuit hit them 3 weeks later. Mom called screaming. "How could you do this to your own family?" I'd practiced this. "How could you steal $250,000 from your own daughter?" "We didn't steal, we reallocated." "You forged my signature, that's fraud." Silence. Then crying. "We gave you everything. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. And you gave Jessica $250,000 that wasn't yours to give." I hung up. Jessica's turn came that evening. "Nat, please, my business is just getting stable. If you force me to pay this back, I'll lose everything. Like I lost my entire trust fund." "That's different. I was building something. You were just going to save it. It was mine." "You're being selfish." Her voice went shrill. "I'm your sister. Family helps family. Then why didn't you help me?" "When I was eating ramen for dinner. When I couldn't afford my medications. When I asked to borrow $50 for groceries." "I didn't know. You didn't ask." I kept my voice level. "You never asked because you never thought about me at all." She hung up crying. Dad tried reason. "Think about your mother. This stress could affect her health. Do you want to be responsible for that?" Am I responsible for the 25 years she ignored me while fawning over Jessica? You're exaggerating. Am I? Name 3 things about my life right now. 3 things that don't involve this lawsuit. Silence stretched across the phone line. Do I still work at County General? Do I have a boyfriend? What's my favorite food? My best friend's name. Anything, Dad. More silence. That's what I thought. The depositions were brutal. Jessica admitted under oath that she'd known about both trust funds, that she'd asked Mom and Dad to give her mine, that they'd agreed without ever telling me it existed. "I thought we'd pay it back eventually," she whispered, mascara running. "I thought Natalie wouldn't mind helping family." "Did you ask her permission?" Margaret's voice was surgical. "No." "Did you tell her about the trust fund at all?" "No." "Did you make any attempt to repay the money?" "I was going to, but the business had expenses." "Yes or no, Miss Chun?" "No." Mom and Dad's deposition was worse. They admitted everything. The forgery. The transfer. The decision to give Jessica both trust funds because she had more entrepreneurial spirit. Because Natalie was always more practical. She'd be fine without it. Margaret asked Mom, "Would you say you treated both daughters equally?" Mom hesitated too long. "We loved them equally. That wasn't the question. We. We did our best." "Your best included embezzling $250,000 from one daughter to fund the other's lifestyle?" Dad interrupted. "Jessica had potential. Real potential. We were investing in her future." "And Natalie's future?" "Nursing is a stable job. She didn't need." Again, not what I asked. The video of those depositions lived in my head for weeks. The settlement came 4 months later. Jessica agreed to return $340,000 over 10 years. Mom and Dad refinanced their house again to cover the first $100,000 immediately. The remaining $240,000 would come from Jessica's business revenue, with legal penalties if she missed payments. Criminal charges were dropped after full restitution was guaranteed. Margaret called it a victory. "You're getting your money back with interest." But something had shifted in me. The money mattered less than I'd expected. What mattered was the acknowledgement. The legal document that said in black and white, "They were wrong. You were wronged." Grandma took me to lunch the day the first check cleared. "What will you do now?" I'd been thinking about that. Travel nursing pays triple, 3-month contracts anywhere in the country. I'm taking assignments in Seattle, then maybe Colorado. Somewhere far from here. Running away? Running toward. I met her eyes. For the first time in my life, I get to choose. I want to choose distance. She understood. What about them? What about them? Will you forgive them? I thought about that for a long time. Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean going back. She squeezed my hand. Good girl. 2 years later, I was in Montana when my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Natalie? "It's Jessica." My first instinct was to hang up. I didn't. "What do you want?" I wanted you to know I made the last payment. You're paid back, all of it. Plus interest. Okay. Double quotes, silence hummed between us. "Is that all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say?" "Thank you for returning money you stole." I didn't. She stopped. "You're right, I did steal it. We all did." I waited. "Mom asks about you sometimes." "Dad won't admit it, but he misses you." "They're getting older, Nat. Don't I think what? That I should come home and pretend it never happened? That I should make them feel better about what they did?" "I'm trying to apologize. You're trying to make yourself feel better." I kept my voice steady. A real apology doesn't come with expectations. You say you're sorry, you sit with the discomfort of what you did, and you don't ask for anything back. I am sorry. We all are. I believe you. But sorry doesn't erase 27 years of being invisible. Sorry doesn't give me back my 20s when I was drowning in debt while you were taking beach vacations with my money. So, that's it? We're just done. I looked out at the Montana mountains, snow-capped and indifferent. I think we were done a long time ago. "We're just finally being honest about it," she cried quietly. "I love you. I love you too." That's the hardest part. I hung up before she could respond. Grandma passed away 3 years after that Christmas dinner. She left her estate split evenly between Jessica and me, with a provision. Jessica's portion would be held in trust, managed by an independent trustee, after what she called previous demonstrated financial irresponsibility within the family. Even from beyond the grave, Grandma was protecting me. The funeral was the first time I'd seen my parents in 5 years. Mom had aged dramatically, new lines around her mouth. Dad's hair had gone completely white. Jessica looked hollow, successful but exhausted. Mom tried to hug me. I let her, but I didn't hug back. "Will you come to dinner after?" she asked. "We could talk. Really talk." "About what?" About everything. About making things right. "Things are right, Mom. I have a life I love. I'm the head nurse at Denver General. I bought a house with a view of the Rockies. I have friends who see me. Really see me. Things are finally right. Without us." Her voice broke. "Yes, without you." Dad approached, hands shaking. Natalie, please. We made mistakes. You didn't make mistakes. You made choices. For 25 years, you chose Jessica. I'm simply choosing myself now. Jessica stood apart, not approaching. We made eye contact across the cemetery. Something passed between us, recognition, maybe. Sadness. Not reconciliation, but acknowledgement. I left before the reception. Now, 7 years after that Christmas dinner, I watch the sunset from my back deck. The mountains glow orange and purple. My dog, a rescue named Atlas, snores at my feet. Inside, my partner is making dinner. We met on a hiking trail 2 years ago. He's never met my family. He doesn't need to. My phone has 3 text messages from Mom. Birthday wishes, mostly. Generic. I'll respond tomorrow with something equally generic. We've found our equilibrium surface level contact, no depth, no expectations. Jessica sends Christmas cards with photos of her kids. I send them back. We are polite. We are strangers who share DNA. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. Regret pursuing the lawsuit. Regret burning bridges. Regret choosing peace over family. I tell them the truth. I regret nothing. They gave me silence. But silence became my foundation. If you've ever been told you weren't enough, remember this. Sometimes walking away is the loudest answer you'll ever give. Share your story in the comments and hit subscribe for the next one.